All right, so get ready, because today we're going deep into some perspectives that might make you kind of scratch your head.
Yeah.
We're looking at a BuzzFeed article. Men on Reddit shared what they wish women had more sympathy for.
Ooh.
And before we really get into it, just want to say we're just exploring these perspectives.
Right.
Not here to, like, judge or debate.
Yeah, yeah.
Think of it as like a window into a conversation that people don't always have, you know?
Yeah, it's fascinating because it is like raw, unfiltered.
Yeah.
Remember, these are individual voices, not like a chorus of all mankind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just some thoughts.
And it gets juicy like right away.
Oh.
One guy is talking about feeling stuck like on a hamster wheel, working and improving himself, all because he's lonely and wants a partner.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of pressure.
Oh, yeah. It really highlights the weight of expectations that men face.
Oh, for sure.
Society often tells them they need to be financially secure, in peak physical condition to attract a partner.
Right. It's like a checklist.
It's like this unspoken checklist.
Wow.
To be even considered dateable.
Yeah. And another comment, this one really resonated with me.
Okay.
It's from a guy who feels like because he's a man, his emotional struggles get minimized. It's almost like men should just suck it up, deal with it silently.
And that speaks to the whole idea of toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
This societal pressure to suppress emotions and project an image of stoicism.
Right.
And the dangerous part is, it doesn't just affect how they're perceived by others.
Yeah.
It can impact their mental and emotional well-being.
So they're kind of caught in a double bind.
Yeah.
If they show too much emotion,
Right.
they're seen as weak, unmanly.
Right.
But if they bottle everything up,
Oh, yeah.
it could lead to unhealthy coping.
Absolutely. And we see that reflected in another comment where a man talks about feeling mocked.
Oh, wow.
When he does open up and share his feelings.
Oh, no.
Damned if he does, damned if he doesn't.
It makes you wonder how much of that pressure is internalized.
Are men holding themselves back because they believe this is what a real man should be?
It's definitely this complex interplay of expectations and internalized beliefs.
Yeah.
A real challenge for men to navigate their emotions authentically.
And this next comment is spicy.
Okay.
One guy says straight up, he wishes women understood how difficult dating is for men. He even talks about a female friend who downplays his experience, comparing it to her overflowing dating app inbox.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, that's got to sting.
Yeah, what's interesting here is that it exposes the potential for miscommunication
Totally.
when it comes to the dating landscape.
Yeah.
Men and women often experience the dating scene through very different lenses,
Right.
which can lead to a lack of understanding
I'm sure.
and empathy.
Yeah, and it goes beyond just dating apps. There's a whole societal narrative about men being the pursuers and women being pursued.
Yeah.
Which can create pressure and frustration on both sides.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that these are just general trends. Every individual's experience will be unique.
Yeah.
Shaped by their personality, their preferences,
Right.
and the specific social circles that they're in.
Okay, let's shift gears and talk about something that came up again and again in these comments.
Yeah.
The desire for understanding and reciprocity in relationships.
Okay.
One guy said straight out, he feels like his struggles are brushed aside compared to women's.
Right.
It's like there's this hierarchy of suffering.
It's a delicate point.
Yeah.
Because it's not about comparing struggles or dismissing anyone's pain.
Right.
It's about recognizing that everyone has their own challenges.
Sure.
And those challenges can be incredibly real,
Yeah.
regardless of gender.
Another comment that stuck with me was about the need for more reciprocation when it comes to romance.
Okay.
This guy feels like he goes all out,
Right.
flowers, compliments, the whole 9 yards,
Yeah.
but doesn't receive that same effort back.
It does come up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Often it boils down to different expectations and communication styles. What one person considers a grand gesture
Right.
might not register as strongly with their partner.
So it's important to be on the same page. Like, are you speaking the same language when it comes to love?
Exactly. It's like they're speaking different love languages.
Yeah.
And if they're not being translated,
Right.
it can create a real disconnect.
Okay, so we've talked about sensitivity, dating dynamics, and the desire for understanding and reciprocity.
Right.
Now let's talk about generalizations about entire genders.
Ooh, okay.
Some of these comments fall into that trap,
Right.
painting women with a pretty broad brush.
It's important to remember that individual experiences can vary widely.
Yeah.
Just because one man has had negative experiences with women who prioritize a certain quality, for example.
Right.
It doesn't mean that all women are like that.
Right, we can't generalize.
It's dangerous to extrapolate individual experiences into sweeping statements about entire genders.
It's like assuming all cats hate water just because your cat runs from the bathtub.
Right, exactly.
There are always exceptions.
Yeah.
Generalizing can lead to stereotypes and prejudice.
And it closes us off from truly understanding the nuances and complexities of individual experiences.
So we need to move beyond generalizations.
Yes.
And approach each person as an individual.
Exactly.
Recognizing that their experiences and perspectives are shaped by a multitude of factors beyond just their gender. So we've covered a lot here.
We have.
This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
Stay tuned because we're going to dive even deeper into these perspectives.
Yes.
Explore the need for nuanced conversations.
Yeah.
Challenge assumptions.
Right.
And find ways to bridge the communication gap.
The big one.
Between genders.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after a quick break. Okay, we're back. Ready to go deeper into these perspectives from men about what they wish women understood better.
Yeah.
And let's be real, some of these comments are definitely going to push some buttons.
Sure.
But discomfort can be a sign we're learning, right?
Exactly. Sometimes the most uncomfortable truths are the ones we need to hear the most.
Totally.
About being willing to sit with that discomfort.
Yeah.
See what we can learn.
Okay, so one of the themes from the first part was generalizations.
Right.
And how they can be tempting and dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
And this next comment really illustrates that point.
Okay.
One guy basically says he wishes more women wouldn't confuse indifference with intimidation. He claims men are often indifferent to a woman's income, education, or status.
Right.
Because it just doesn't impact them personally.
Interesting.
Now, I'm not saying I agree entirely.
Right.
But it's something to think about.
Absolutely. It challenges the narrative that men are only driven by superficial qualities when choosing a partner.
Right.
It suggests that for some men, these external markers of success might not be as crucial as we think.
And it really highlights that we can't make blanket statements about entire genders.
No, you can't.
Just because some men might prioritize certain qualities doesn't mean all men do.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the diversity of individual preferences and experiences.
Right. Everyone's different.
And it reminds us that we shouldn't project our own biases onto others.
Another comment that kind of blew my mind was from a guy who says, men are often more aware of women's experiences and struggles than they get credit for.
Interesting.
He points out that men have mothers, sisters, daughters, friends who are women.
Right.
So it's not like these issues are completely foreign to them.
I think it's a good point. It highlights how our lived experiences and relationships shape our understanding of the world.
Yeah.
We learn and grow through our interactions.
Right.
Those experiences inform our perspectives.
Regardless of gender.
Right, regardless of gender.
It's a good reminder that we shouldn't underestimate people's capacity for empathy.
Absolutely.
Even if they haven't personally experienced the exact same challenges.
Right, and it speaks to the importance of open communication.
For sure.
When we share our experiences honestly,
it
creates bridges of understanding that can transcend gender differences.
Okay, shifting gears a bit.
Okay.
There was one comment that really got me thinking about the dynamics of communication between genders.
Okay.
This guy says he sometimes feels like he's walking on eggshells. Worried about saying the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And being labeled as insensitive or sexist.
It's a sentiment I hear often, actually.
Really?
It speaks to a broader cultural anxiety around navigating these conversations.
Yeah.
There's this fear of saying the wrong thing, being misinterpreted, or even accused of wrongdoing.
Just like everyone's tiptoeing around these topics.
Yes.
Afraid to speak their minds for fear of backlash.
And that shuts down the potential for dialogue.
Totally.
And understanding.
So how do we break out of this cycle? How do we create a space where people feel safe to express themselves honestly without fear of judgment?
I think it starts with a culture of listening, a willingness to hear each other out, even if we don't agree with everything.
Right.
It's about approaching these conversations with curiosity, a genuine desire to understand, rather than a need to be right or shut down opposing viewpoints.
It's about recognizing that everyone's perspective is valid.
Yes.
Even if it's different from our own.
Absolutely.
And being willing to hold space for discomfort.
Yeah.
These conversations can be challenging.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay to feel uncomfortable, even triggered sometimes.
Right, but lean into that discomfort.
Yeah.
See what you can learn.
Okay, one more comment before we move on.
Okay.
This one's pretty poignant.
All right.
This guy talks about how he wishes women understood the pressure men feel to be providers and protectors. He feels like society expects him to be financially successful and emotionally stoic.
Right.
And that it can be so draining.
It's a weight.
It's like they're carrying this invisible weight.
Yes, and it's compounded by the fear of appearing weak. Men are taught that asking for help is a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
So they end up shouldering these burdens in silence.
Which can be so isolating.
Oh, yeah.
And damaging.
It often prevents them from seeking the support they need.
Yeah.
They might be afraid to open up.
To friends and family.
Yeah, or even seek professional help.
Because they fear being judged.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've talked about generalizations, the fear of saying the wrong thing, the pressure men feel to be providers, all heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of hope.
Absolutely. And that hope lies in our willingness to engage in these tough conversations.
Yeah.
Listen to each other with open hearts.
Right.
Challenge our biases.
We're all in this together.
We are.
Navigating these complexities of gender and relationships in a constantly evolving world.
That's right.
And by working together,
yes,
we can create a more just world for everyone.
Beautifully said.
And that brings us to the final part of our deep dives.
Right.
Where we'll explore what it means to cultivate understanding and connection in a world that often feels divided.
Stay tuned.
All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into what men wish women understood better.
Yeah, the final stretch.
We've talked about societal pressures, communication breakdowns.
Lots to unpack.
It's clear there's no easy fix.
Nope.
But I think having these conversations helps.
Oh, for sure. Chipping away at those walls of misunderstanding.
Right. Building bridges, not reinforcing divides.
Exactly.
One theme that keeps coming up is this idea of reciprocity in relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when it comes to love and appreciation.
Yeah, how we give and receive it.
One comment that really stayed with me was from a guy who felt like he was putting in so much effort romantically, but not getting that same energy back.
It's tough.
He talked about bringing home flowers, cooking dinner.
Right, the whole 9 yards.
But it felt like his efforts went unnoticed.
Heartbreaking, honestly, speaks to a common issue in relationships.
Right.
It's assuming our partner understands our love language.
It's like he's sending smoke signals.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know what they mean.
Exactly. We can't assume our partner just knows what makes us feel loved.
So instead of flowers,
right,
maybe he should just say, hey, I love when you hug me after a long day.
Exactly. Sometimes the simplest, most direct communication is key.
Straight to the point.
And it goes both ways.
Oh, for sure.
Both partners need to be open about their needs.
Absolutely.
And actively listen to each other.
Another comment that stuck with me was from a guy who felt like his partner wasn't really interested in his life. He'd share exciting news about work.
Yeah.
Only to get a lukewarm response.
Oof, that's gotta hurt.
Talk about deflating.
Speaks to a deeper need for validation in a relationship.
For sure.
When we feel seen and heard by our partner, that's powerful.
It's not just about the big moments either.
Right.
It's about the little things.
Yeah, like asking about their day.
Right, and actually listening.
Showing genuine interest.
You know, this applies to all relationships.
It does.
Not just romantic ones.
Friendships, family, even at work.
Yeah, that need for understanding is universal.
It's fundamental. We all crave connection.
And when those needs aren't met,
it
can lead to isolation.
Resentment, conflict.
So how do we cultivate more understanding and reciprocity?
Well, I think it comes down to a few things.
Okay.
Being mindful of how we communicate, expressing our needs directly, truly listening to the other person.
Right, active listening.
And approaching these conversations with curiosity and empathy.
So much easier said than done.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially when we're feeling emotional.
But that's where the growth happens.
I agree.
Stepping outside our own perspective.
Seeing the world through someone else's eyes.
Exactly.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive.
Yeah, we covered a lot.
Into what men wish women understood better.
Some heavy stuff.
But I think we learned a lot.
Me too. It's been great exploring these topics with you.
Likewise.
And to our listeners, thanks for joining us.
We hope this sparked some reflection.
Maybe even inspired you to cultivate more understanding in your own lives.
Until next time.
Keep diving deep and keep those conversations going.